Hello there, Parth Sharma this side bringing you the chess classics. Do take time to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel. If you like my work, then do consider supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. The links are in the description because your support is my motivation which keeps me going. So in the classics, we are continuing our look at the 1984 World Chess Championship match between Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov. So after game 5, Karpov was leading with 3-2, securing win in the game 3. So now we come to game 6 of this championship. And this time Garry Kasparov is playing with white pieces and he opens with d4, knight f6, c4, and we see the Queen's Indian defense from Karpov, g3, bishop a6, b3, bishop check, and then bishop e7. So this has been seen before, and now after bishop g2 in game 4 of the championship, Karpov played bishop b7, but here he diverts and he castled, and so did Garry, and d5, so striking into the center, gaining some early initiative as black, as you should do. And after 12 minutes, Kasparov came up with knight e5 in this position. So relatively he was playing quick. Karpov responds with c6, bishop c3, and after in half an hour thought, he plays knight f d7 in this position. Well, in game in 1982 against Gyeongju, he played bishop b7, knight d2, knight a6, e3, c5, and he drew that game in 1982 Chess Olympiad against Gyeongju. So he was pretty much familiar with this line. So he plays knight f d7 at this position. Kasparov takes, knight d2, rook c8, and e4 in this position by Kasparov. So Kasparov is ready for the battle in the center. Indeed, it is battle in the center, but e4 makes this, opens this diagonal, so they cannot be this capture because of this pin. The rook is under fire, the bishop is looking at this rook, but black can play in this move like c5 in this position, and of course, as highlighted, this pawn is pinned, so the rook will be under attack, and the game can continue in this fashion. There was the game between Kramnik and Leko in 2007 rapid game, and Kramnik came up with this idea of knight c4 in this position, and if this is taken, then queen g4 threatens mate and gets the piece back. So in this game, in the game between Kasparov and Karpov, Karpov plays the move b5 instead of the c5 move, and now rook e1, just making sure that this pin doesn't disturb him, and d takes c4, b takes c4. Now let's have a look at the move. Well, here Karpov plays knight b6. Looking at this move, let's say b takes c4, then queen a4, bishop b5. The queen cannot take because rook a8 traps the queen on a7, so he can play queen c2, and these two pawns aren't really good for black in the long term. Instead, he plays knight b6, and now this turned out to be a mistake. He could have played e5 in this position. Let's go here. Let's look at the move like e5. from Karpov. If he had played, this wasn't played, let me remind you. Then d takes, and now b4 attacking the bishop. Bishop tucks back to b2, knight c5, bishop f1, and knight d3 is so annoying for white. Bishop takes and queen takes. This is a very good position strategically for black. But this queen standing here like a rock, controlling so many squares here, here, these two pawns, and this could have been playable. But knight b6 was too casual, and here the best move is to play c5. And this was the move that Karpov played against Johan van der Wiel in 1987, and he won this game. And b4, of course, b4 doesn't work because of bishop b2, and then knight c4 is very strong indeed. And let's have a look at the move like knight a4. This was the move that Johan van der Wiel played against Karpov. This move also doesn't serve a very good purpose because after queen c2, c5, knight f3 is tremendous. E takes d4, bishop takes d4, queen d7, e5, and after queen g4, white is in a hot seat and it is totally winning for white. But after knight b6, Kasparov comes up with c takes b5, which gives Karpov some relief in this position because it just eases the tension if ever there would be. So our c takes b5, rook c1, bishop comes to a3, hassling this, rook c2, and now knight a4. The bishop is attacked, bishop has to come to a1, and rooks get exchanged, and now queen a5. And this picture is incredible. So many pieces are lined up on this a file. At least 7 pieces are on a file. If this rook comes here, I've never seen a game where 7 pieces are there on one file on a board. But queen a5 was crucial. He could have played queen, let's say he could have played queen e7. The d5 move won't be possible because if pawn takes, the pawn won't be in the position to capture. This rook is undefended. So he plays queen a5 in this position. And Kasparov thought for some time and plays queen d1 here. And in my opinion, Karpov should have played knight here, because the queen is attacking the knight and the rook is also in the line. The queen has to go somewhere and lots of exchanges would take place. Rook c8 from Karpov, knight b3, queen b4, queen c7 would have been a better choice, but queen b4 is also not bad. And now d5 from Kasparov. So he's trying to push these pawns down the board, try to create a pass pawn in the center of the board with these pieces aren't looking really good on this a file, and it could be a playable position here. E takes, and now this was a critical blunder for Karpov. He played knight c3 in this position. Let's have a look at the moves like queen f8, but then queen g4, rook d8, knight d4, bishop c8, and the position is okay, I would say, but not losing, but okay for black. Instead he plays knight c3, which was a mistake, and here Kasparov misses a good chance. I would say a walking win in this position he missed. The simplest move to win is to play queen h5, and there won't be any defenses whatsoever in this position. Queen f8, bishop h3, bishop is attacking. If this bishop ever moves, then this knight is en prise. This bishop is looking at this knight. The rook is overloaded. It has to keep itself on c file. Rook c4, bishop f1, and white is totally dominating this position. it would have been hopeless. But instead he comes, after knight c3, comes with queen d4, which at the first glance doesn't look too bad, offering queen trade. And after knight takes a2, he comes with knight c6 in this position. He could have played knight f5 here. Let's have a look at the move like knight f5. But then g6 is a total misjudgment, or I would say a total blunder in this position if he had played this, because after d6, if you take, then d7 just runs away. Rook d8 doesn't work because of rook e8 check, and this bishop is like a breathing fire. It controls this square. It would have been game over then and there. But here Kasparov miscalculates and plays knight c6. So many chances for Kasparov were missed from him, and I don't know, he just had a blank moment. He was a bit nervous, a blackout moment for some sorts. Who knows? Only except for him. Bishop c5, that's a good move. And knight e7 would have been a better move, with the ideas of eliminating this bishop and trying to push this pawn. Having a bishop pair, it would have been a better situation for white, but it was for bishop h3. Not too bad. Rook goes to a8. The rook was attacked. Bishop d4, so he's looking to exchange the bishops. Gleefully accepted by Karpov. Now king f8, so this move controls this pawn and ensures that this pawn doesn't become annoying, although the king is cut for the moment, but it can be easily challenged by the moves like rook e8 and so forth thereafter. d6, knight c3, and possible moves would have been bishop g2 to hold for a draw. Let's go at the move like bishop g2, rook d8, bishop c6, bishop c8. The rook cannot take the pawn because mate threatened, and knight takes b5, and this position would have been drawn. But he goes for knight c6 in this position, and yeah, this just gives black more time, enough time to consolidate on this position. So bishop b7, bishop g2 defends the knight, rook e8. So looking to exchange rooks and try to come to hunt this pawn down. Knight e5 was a little bit misjudgment on his behalf. Probably rook a1 tried to look at this pawn, but it was too late for that. f6 played. d7, so pushing this passed pawn. Rook d8 coming here, and bishop takes b7. F takes e5, and now bishop c6, defending this pawn rather than going behind this. That's a good move. And simple move e4 would have been better. The knight defends it, and bishop takes, then rook takes, and the position would have been, let's say, easy to win for black. But he goes for king e7, and this makes matters a little bit complicated here, because after bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, and this position looks looks highly unclear that whether black can have decisive advantage here with 3 pawns against 3 after this rook takes e5 check, and I don't think so. Why? By the way, I counted this 3 because this pawn will drop in the next turn. King takes d7. So that's why 3 against 3, but this is a passed pawn. Remember that. So It is basically 3 against 2, and there might be chances that this king will be occupied by this pawn, so, and could be distracted, so that position would have been still winning for black, but it's still highly unclear here. Rook takes b5, so he eliminates the knight. King c6 by Karpov, and a simple move rook e5 here would have still been unclear for black here, but rook h5 just makes things a little bit easy, and this becomes very crucial in one of the analysis. Say h6 here is defending this pawn, and in one case we see that if this pawn had been here, then this would have been drawn because both pawns would have been attacked, and moving one of them would have resulted in the downfall of the another. Rook e5 being played, rook a8, so keeping his rook behind the pawn and just try to push this one, that's the aim. Rook a5, just putting this rook so that this pawn doesn't move too much. King b6, rook a2, a5, king f1, so he's trying to bring his king here and to hunt this pawn down, and a4 was sort of misjudgment on his part because now this pawn becomes a little bit loose. It goes out of hands, I should say, and it won't be too easy for this lone rook to defend this passed pawn, and with this rook right in front of the pawn, it would be very difficult to dislodge this rook from here and try to promote this pawn. And in the meantime, that black can try to play like this and try to take these pawns would be a better idea in this position. Let's see how it goes. King e2, king c5, so he's trying, but as I said, king d2, and now a3 in this position, so he's pushing this pawn way too far here. King c1 and king d4. Now there are two ways to play, in fact I should say the three ways. The first two ways which I'll show were the possibilities, not the part of this game. If Kasparov had played king b1 in this position, king d3, f4, rook a7, just solidifying everything, king a1. So white is somewhat controlling everything. This king is on a1 and there seems to be no breakthrough. This pawn is under control and the position would have been a draw. Let's come back here. Second possibility, not played in the game, is h4. Well, this one is losing because after king e4, king b1, king f3, this pawn will drop and you might see this rook coming here, and this king is so far away from these pawns. Black is in the hot seat, is in the driver's seat I should say. And now the third possibility, which was played in the game and which was a mistake. Instead of king b1 that would have hold this game to a draw, probably to a draw, he plays f4. King e4 and king c2 would have been a better move with the intention to play king b3 and wrap up this pawn, but this looks too slow. He plays king b1, rook b8 check, king a1, so this king cannot come out, that's the thing, and white would be dependent on these pawns and this rook to make a move. And now superb move, rook b2, excellent one. So after rook takes a3, rook takes h2, black is really looking solid here with this king too far away from these pawns, and one of these pawns will drop. In fact, both these pawns will drop. King b1, rook d2, the basic threat is to play rook here, and here is when I said if this rook h5 move which was played hadn't been played and this pawn was here, then rook a7 would have been a drawing move because one of these pawns would have disappeared from the board. But with this pawn move to h6, if you play rook a7 now, then there's a possibility to play g5. That's the thing. So that doesn't work. At the moment, rook d3 is threat, exchanging queens or exchanging rooks, and then taking this pawn is also a threat. At this moment, I think white is completely lost. Rook a6 played, king f5, rook a7. As I said, if this pawn had been here, this would have been drawn. But this was a misjudgment in my opinion. Rook a3 would have been better since king is not on e4. He plays g5, excellent move, and rook a6 is just taking everything too casually. Basically, I would say this was the final nail in the coffin, or I should say taking things for granted, because after g4, now this pawn cannot be captured. That's the thing. And rook takes h6 gives rook g2, and this rook cannot defend this pawn. And with this king so far away from this pawn and this king shepherding this pawn, I think white's game is done here only. He could have resigned here, but he continued. Rook h5 check, king e4, f5. So he's trying to push his own pawn, but this is under control. He could have played rook takes g3 here, but he chose rook f2, which is equally strong, and king c1, king f3. The pawn is gone, so don't worry about that. King d1, king takes g3, and now this pawn is looking really deadly indeed. And this pawn isn't looking deadly because it is totally controlled by this rook. This king is so far away, as we see this, all because of this a pawn which ran down from here to here. Rook a1, he had a chance to pick up the pawn, but he didn't. He missed that move. King e1, so he's trying to bring his king closer to this pawn. King g2, rook g5, and g3. Everything is solid. He won't get away with this because king takes, the king still defends the rook. Rook h5, so that making sure this king doesn't come out. Rook f4, so he's putting this rook away from this f2 square, the king's attack, so that this king can come here and try to push this pawn, and making sure that the king is cut and it cannot cross the line of the rook. King e2, rook e4 check, king d3, queen f3 defends the rook, rook h1, g2 being played, rook h3 check, king g4, king takes, and this pawn promotes. This pawn is way too slow. So rook h8, rook f4, king e2, and after rook takes f5, Kasparov resigned the game. Why did he resign? Let's have a look at this position. This is somewhat we say Lucena position. In order to promote this pawn, you have to build a bridge. Well, there are two possibilities here. Let's try this one. Rook g8 check, king h3, rook h8 check, king g3, rook g8 check, king h2, rook h8 check, king g1, and the threat is to play this and then bringing the king out. If he doesn't, let's say if he plays rook e8 to stop the check, then rook h5, the king comes out here, and then we promote it to queen. And if rook comes back here, then we check it anyway. And alternatively, if after king g1, if he plays, let's say, rook h7, just waiting on this file, then remember this technique, this Lucena technique. As we say, the Lucena position is rook e5 checks, so you bring the king too far away, 2 files away I should say. So the king is 2 files away from this pawn. King d2, king f2, making the room for this pawn to promote. So rook f7 check, king g3, rook g7 check, king f3, rook f7 check, king g4, rook g7 check, and now we build the bridge by playing rook to g5. And on the next turn, or maybe after 2 moves after, you will have your queen there. So these are basically a lot of sort of little nuances that you want to know in the end games. Well, as for the moment the game came to the move rook takes f5, and it was in this position that Kasparov resigned, and this would have been a shocking loss, a crushing loss, because what this does is Karpov is +2 and has 2 wins after 6 games, and Kasparov has none. And to rub salt into the wound, this was with white pieces that Kasparov lost, and having so many chances. Queen h5 was one of them, and knight f5 was another. Missing so many chances and losing this game would have just crushed his confidence. But the championship wasn't over. It was first to 6 wins. If you win 6 and Karpov stays at 2, still the championship is yours. But at the moment, but after game 6, his future looked doomed. But stay with me, and I will be bringing you more decisive games from this World Chess Championship. This was one of those fantastic championships that we have witnessed, and also 1985 which followed. So I hope you liked my analysis and my video, the way I presented you my analysis through this chess, through my chess skills and my chess understanding. Thanks for watching. Do take time to like, comment, share and subscribe to this video. Up till then, stay safe. Cheers. Bye.